This video is about the exponential growth of the number of chicken pox that somebody has. So the pockmarks on the body, and it's growing exponentially, so we need to write an equation that represents the amount of them over time. So 42 pockmarks on November 1st, and then by November 5th, the number had grown to 139. So we're going to use those two values to help us write this exponential equation. So if you recall, for writing an exponential equation, we often like to make a table, and then you include x equals 0 on that table. Now, if there is a shifted asymptote, you need to include a y minus k. So that would be, in this scenario, is the asymptote the number of chicken pox marks something other than 0? Maybe that's in a different scenario, it's the amount of degrees in the room or something like that. But in this case, it makes sense that the number of chicken pox was originally 0. So in actuality, we don't care, we don't need to worry about the y minus k column. So that part isn't a part of this problem. So for all that stuff, that doesn't necessary. So that kind of makes the problem a little bit easier. So you can make your table. We have 142 on there as it states and 539 on there as it states as well. So from there, you're going to see if you can find out what the gap is. And so the gap here is 4. So your multiplier b is going to be that fourth root of next over previous, 139 over 42, right? And you put that under your graphing calculator, and what you get for your multiplier is going to be 1.3487. 3487. So we're going to round that 3488, I guess, if we were to round that to 4 decimals. And then you use that to divide. You're going to go up to term 0. So you're going to do 42 and you divide by that. We need that 0 term to find out what it was on day 0 in this case. And so we have 31.1392. So our equation that we were asked to write here is an exponential equation where you have 31.1392 times your multiplier, which was 1.3489, and that's to the x. So that is our exponential equation. So that's step 1. Now, the step 2, it says, when did Ren get his first chicken pox mark? And so you need to work this backwards, actually. So you take your equation, 31.1392, times your multiplier, 1.3489 to the x, and the asymptote is 0, so we don't need to add anything on there, and then we're going to set that equal to 1. So you're going to work backwards here to figure out what that is. And so you have to divide by 31.1392 if you're doing this algebraically, right? So you want to get your base to the x all by itself, so that means we have 1.3489 to the x is equal to this 0.0321. Got lots of decimals here. Use your graphing calculator to use your exact values as long as possible. So you hit the second answer button, and then we're going to do log base b, not base b, log base 1.3489 of both sides, right? So you're going to do the log with that base that you were given, or that we found, of both sides here. And that's how we solve this algebraically. So that's going to be of 1.3489 to the x. This is going to be of 0.0321. And when you do that, that gets these things to cancel out. So therefore, we know that x, the date, the time at which there is the first chicken pox marks, is going to be, when you calculate that on the calculator, and you can do that either using your change of base formula or your log base button, depends upon how you've been doing it in your other examples, and you actually get a negative number here, so negative 11.492. So that's your negative, so that's 11 days ago, or 11 and a half days ago from day 0. Now you have to remember that day 0 here, day 0 is technically October 31st, since day 1 is November 1st. So you're going to take 31 and you're going to go backwards 11 and a half days, right? So it's actually wants a date in this problem, not just how many days ago, so the date of the year. So October 31st is day 0, and so then you're going to take 31 and add negative 11.4. You're going to subtract 11.492, and when you do that, you get your date of October, and then it'd be like 19 and a half, right? So this would be either October 19th or 20th, right? So either of those answers would be acceptable in this problem. We've got it set up that way. So it's sometime between October 19th and 20th is when he would have had his first chicken pox mark.